have a no drop rule. I thought about joining a club here, a running club here that does have a no drop rule here in Houston. I haven't really joined as of yet. Because I've had no problem doing it on my own so far.
Oh.
But
I was asking you, what's the no drop rule? What you mean
no drop. So that means that there's some there's always someone that's with that stays behind.
Okay.
So it's a group of people that are running, and there's someone that's always staying behind where the last runner is.
Okay.
To make sure that they finish. That no one gets left behind.
All right.
And so that's the thing. That's the only issue that I have with the run club at Alphaland. But I don't have anything against it. That's just how they do things. But their 3 mile is not my 3 mile. I really don't do 3 miles. I do 3 miles because when I'm doing the run after I do my lift, it's a designated amount of time that I'm running. So if it's like 45 minutes or something like that, okay, I'll get in 3 miles. But their 3 miles are like 30 minutes, 28 minutes and stuff like that. So I'm obviously the last person, and for their route, I don't know what their route is.
Yeah.
And they do go off campus. So what they say is like, if you feel like you just want to do 1 mile, then do 1 mile. If you want to do 2 miles, then do this. If you want to do the full with us, which is the majority of everybody, then you can come along with us. But they don't have someone staying behind running with the slowest person. So that's the thing. So if anybody's wanting to run, you got to make sure that if you're worried about being the last person, you got to make sure that they have a no drop rule or a no drop person.
Is it because of your size? Because you're kind of thick,
So that's something that I've seen be discussed. Like the person that I mentioned earlier that does the hybrid athlete, Nick Bear, he's gotten comments himself because the guy still looks jacked. But he's gotten the comments from runners and he's heard the comments about, he's like, can I be lighter? Yeah, I could possibly be lighter and I could stand to lose some weight, and that includes muscle. It's not really that. It's really just everybody's body is different, because I've seen people that are heavier than me that are, and this has been ever since I was young, and I didn't think that was possible. But I remember running a cross country race when I was really young, and there were some really big girls. Like, they weren't even stocky, because I know I'm stocky as far as natural build. There were just some big girls that were running pretty fast and pretty far for a cross country meet. So I didn't pay attention to it at the time. But yeah, everybody's body is different. I know I've seen some pretty big people that can do some marathons. They will put it, and they're definitely putting a lot more weight on their knees and on their joints than I am.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you look nice for your size. I mean, I was just asking, maybe because it was the size, maybe.
No, that's definitely a topic of discussion that does come up a lot, for people like me, and definitely for people that are like just straight up big.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's just not the first question, and I know it won't be the last. Like I said, even the person that I mentioned, he's been, I don't know why. I guess some runners, I don't know why they took offense to. I'm like, he's just running. That's just what he wants to do. That's what he loves to do. And he's talked about it on his podcast, where he's just like, yeah, I can lose some weight, but that's going to be losing muscle. And he's like, guess what? I don't want to lose muscle. I mean, it's just me. I'm actually trying to lose fat, because I want to get back to the aesthetic that I had for bodybuilding, but do it properly this time with the nutrition, but also be able to run the distance, so yeah.
Yeah, I remember, I was running and stuff like that, and I wasn't a fast runner. I would just try to like have endurance, like just keep having like a slow pace. Sometimes I would move fast. It wasn't too fast, but not too slow, that type of thing. And sometimes people would pass me and stuff like that. And and back to the size, I remember, I was playing basketball and there was this big dude and
Mm-hmm.
he was heavier than me. And the way he moved, he can like contort his body. Like one time, like I don't know how he did it, but like I was guarding him and he just kind of like spin around me. And I'm like, oh my God. Like I do all this running. I need to do yoga and all this stuff. Like, and he's like contorting his body like that, but he could play. So, I was like a mediocre player. I wasn't really that good at basketball, but I would just, try to play. But yeah, like there's people that they know how to use their size. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I also was it. I mean, I also do different types of running as well. As much as I'm not a sprinter, I'll still do sprints as part of an interval workout because it's just as an overall runner or just as far as fitness is concerned, you need to do different levels for your heart and stuff like that. Um, and I just well, so I actually am at a point where I actually like to lift still more than I run.
oh yeah,
um, but also another reason why I definitely want to keep up any of this stuff is because I pretty much like went into bodybuilding pretty late in comparison to some other people. And I want to keep doing stuff like I probably want to eventually do something like high rocks or probably some of the Spartan races that they have throughout the country and stuff, just because I think a lot of people really think that once they hit a certain age, they just can't do anything anymore. And there are a lot of people that are way older than me that are shedding the pounds that look great and fabulous for their age, that are able to do these events with no problems whatsoever. And to also just be like, hey, you guys can do it too. Like right now, I've had to dial back a lot of my workouts begrudgingly because I had a little bit of a shoulder impingement in my right arm. But at the same time, it's not like, oh, I'm just going to sit on my all the entire time or sit on my butt the entire time. I'm doing the rehabilitative workouts. I'm doing the stabilization workouts. I'm still working or doing what I can or lifting lighter than expected just so I don't injure or make things worse. But I'm still doing something and moving forward, so I don't go back into just that period that I was in to where I have to lose 75 pounds again.
yeah. That's good. That's good. That's good. Like, wait. You mostly like you train like you said the nerds and stuff like that. Like,
Say that again.
you train nerds like people that
Yes.
earlier.
Hmm.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And like, how was that? Like, I know you explained like some of it, like but do you have like like a success story, like somebody that worked out and wanted to like compete or anything like that, or
Oh, I have a lot of those. Like I actually just did a post today on one of Keisha. She's
yeah,
a Trekkie like me. She wanted to get rid of her fupa, or that belly, which a lot of us want to get rid of.
right,
So for her, and I'm trying to remember, I don't know if I put specifically how much weight she lost. Um, but yeah, so she's a Trekkie like me. I'm more into Star Trek than I am Star Wars.
yeah,
But um, I do meet my clients where they're at, but also I tell them what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. So I know, she was like a lot of other people that I've met before where it's like, they're just so hyper fixated on one place. And I get it. The stomach is always a pain in the butt to get rid of or just work on getting rid of. But I'm just like, look, you can't spot reduce body fat. You have to work on the whole body. And, based on a whole bunch of factors, more than likely, look, the fat around the midsection is going to be the last to go. But you can't get rid of it, but you can't just do a billion sit-ups and billion crunches, to, get rid of it. So for her, and the thing is with a lot of nerds that I've trained, their issue is really across the board, like no different than a lot of people that are not nerds. They fall into the trends. They want to try these trends because they see the success stories. But honestly, it might just be some slick marketing. And you never know. They might be like some of those people from The Biggest Loser where they lost all that weight and they probably gained it back and they're not really showing that side of the story. But they fall into these trends, like they tried keto. They tried, well, not Atkins, because that's not really the trend right now, but they tried doing vegan. None of it worked. They tried a lot of people. I mean, in this country, we believe that we got to go to the extreme so hard and so fast to really get it done. And that really doesn't lead to anything because we quit. Like some of us haven't done crap in years. So, a lot of people like her think they have to do a lot of high intensity cardio all the time. I still run into women that don't want to lift weights because they think they're going to be bulky like a guy.
That's like the norm. That's the norm.
Yeah. And so, a lot of the things that they struggle with is no different than the people that are not nerds. So, really, it was just a matter of fixing your food. Majority of my clients, when I check in with them, because accountability is a big deal that I don't think a lot of people realize is something that they need. They need somebody asking them the questions, staying on them, being like, hey, how was your stress this week? When it came to a nutrition plan, I think some trainers just give them their nutrition. They're just like, okay, here you go. And you've just paid all this money for a nutrition plan and a workout plan. And it's just kind of like, okay, thank you, bye. And it's like, no, so I'm checking in with them every single week. And if they have anything off the top of their head that they want to discuss, we're going to discuss it and address it so that they can stay on track. One thing that I will say, since the nutrition is like 80% of your health and fitness goals, I will say none of them have been 100% compliant with their nutrition plan. Like, oh, I didn't cheat or anything like that and stuff like that. So the good thing is they have been like 70 or averaging 70-80% compliant with the nutrition, and they still lose the weight, which is pretty much what I have like on my taglines on my social media. Is like, you level up, you lose the weight without having to give up sushi or ramen or pizza, because you don't have to. You don't have to feel so restricted. You can still lose the weight. We're just changing some things around. I'm like, a lot of people don't walk, but if you just walk and you change your food, I'm like, you don't have to worry about doing Zumba or something that you feel like you need to sweat in order to lose the weight. Like something as simple as that will help you lose the weight, especially around the midsection. No, but for her, she ended up losing it. I know I posted her stuff today. I forgot what her, I don't always put people's weight, but usually the photos speak for themselves, but she lost the spare tire.
I see yeah, Instagram, it's a lot of like weight losses and stuff, like before and after and stuff. You also had like a before and after picture.
Yes. And I know I need to do what my mentor said. I was like, post more of your story. And I'm like, yeah, I forget. Everybody likes a good story. The thing is, even up until now, I don't take a lot of pictures. I was like, and I know I'm like, I should, but I just don't. So there's only a finite number of photo. Like I only have a finite number of before and after photos. Even when I took the photos, I didn't get it because the trainer that was provided to us from the law firm I worked at, he's like, go ahead and take pictures. And I'm like, okay. I mean, he didn't explain to me why. I also didn't ask him why either. So I took the pictures, and then it wasn't until I lost the weight that I'm just kind of like, oh, okay. So yeah, I do want to have more clients though that take before and afters in their cosplay, because so far I only have one client that has taken a before and after in their cosplay, and her name is Irma. So she is, I don't know how long ago I posted her story, but she is the one that dressed as Misty from Pokemon. And
Oh,
she's the only client I have that has done her before and after photos in cosplay. And I'm like, can I please have more clients that will do it that are willing to do it in their cosplay?
yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, yeah, that's cool. Um, yeah, I noticed that you also like you do lives and stuff on Instagram majority of the times.
Hmm.
Yeah, you have like various topics. I was on the one last week where you was talking about relationships and stuff like that.
Oh yes. Um, I've been doing live since 2000, end of 2018. It was at the suggestion of a former client when I was doing in-person training, and I think she did something for Avon or one of those beauty companies, and she recommended doing lives on Facebook. So I was doing lives before I even got with my mentors because they suggested lives, and I'm like, oh, I've been doing live. I did shoot, if I were to find, or I'm sure if I go back far enough, I would definitely see a huge difference, because I remember my mother would give me flack because like, you have too many fillers in there. And you're going like, I'm like, I know, mom. So I know it's definitely a change. When it's come to me, I had to be reminded when I was hanging out with the few friends I have once a month for movie night. One of them is a teacher, and my mentors reminded me of this too. I have to be reminded of the fact that just because I love science and a lot of the big words, and I was told to use the words that I read in my vocabulary, not everybody does that. Like, I had to be reminded that the average reading level is fifth grade. So sometimes I feel compelled to, I don't want to, but feel compelled to, change the words or simplify them just so people can understand or get the point. But that's also why I'm linking a lot of things to the nerd fandoms,
Okay.
because I feel it's easier to understand when you I'm able, me personally, I'm able to take something health and fitness or give a health and fitness spin to something that's nerdy. Like for Keisha, with her being a Trekkie, the one thing I've always loved about Star Trek, is that, you're exploring, you're checking out different things. And I'm like, with her, since she wanted to try different things as far as fitness or workouts are concerned, I'm like, okay, let's do something for this week as far as workouts are concerned. The next week, let's do something that's Pilates. Okay. Or next week, what do you think about trying yoga or doing this? And so she'll explore different types of fitness or working out. And that's what we did. So tying in stuff like that has once again made it easier for me, made it easier for a lot of my clients. Um, the lives. Now, when it came to the personal me, talking about getting friend zoned a lot, um, that one is something that has always been a struggle for me. My mentors have told me to do vulnerability posts, or posts where I'm vulnerable, or talk about something that most people can relate to, because I do agree. Nothing in my life is perfect. Nothing in my life is freaking perfect. Okay. So I know that's something that doesn't get spoken of from a female's perspective, but it totally happens. And in some of the Facebook nerd groups that I'm a part of, it's actually getting talked about. And it's like, yeah, women get friend zoned a lot. We just don't talk, or it doesn't get spoken of a lot in comparison to the guys in.
Yeah.
But that's definitely one of the experience I've had. I talked about the fact that we need, I've never been afraid to talk about taboo subjects or what's considered taboo in this country. One thing I have definitely spoken about because it needs to be discussed is the reason me and my husband separated is because unfortunately he had an issue with drugs and he downplayed that before we got together. He didn't really say, "Oh, I have an issue with drugs." I'm like, that's something I would need to know because unfortunately he relapsed and he relapsed into methamphetamine. And for any person that's addicted to drugs, they're not going to get off of it unless they want to get off of it. But be obviously that's not a sustainable relationship. So I mean, we separated and stuff like that. But it's the fact that afterwards I had his sister and a lot of his close friends that are now my friends that when I told them what happened, they're like, again? And I'm like, what do you mean again? And so it would be
Yeah.
nice to know that he had that issue before we got married. But you know, the reason I know the reason for why he became addicted, and he is from the Philippines as well. And
Okay.
so we all have our trauma. And the thing is, Asians are just like Black people. We don't talk about problems, certain types of problems. We sweep it under the rug. We don't. We the older generations have been taught we don't talk about that. What goes on in closed doors. That whole idea, but that
Yeah.
leads to problems down the road, obviously. And so it was the same in his case. So I know why he struggles and he unfortunately just hasn't dealt with it the best way, like a lot of all of us. But the thing is I'll talk about that just because it's like, okay, so I know I'm not the only person that's dealt with this. um that he honestly what the out of all the relationships I do talk about him the most, only because not only is he the nerd like me, he's also the reason I ended up in Japan because we had a band and like that I mentioned earlier, and
Yeah.
a Japanese TV channel um, saw one of our YouTube videos of me
Okay.
singing and invited me to go sing in one of their American Idol type shows and stuff like that. You know,
That's
and
cool.
then the band was his brainchild. You know, so I mean, he was inadvertently also part of the weight loss because I was married to him when I lost the weight as well.
Okay.
So, I mean, after speaking to a therapist, you know, in comparison to the few, like I've really only had three major ones. So he was the one that was around for the transformation or the journey into the fitness realm.
Yeah.
Um, up until we separated. So he was a major part of it. So I usually talk about him a lot, and not just that, it's just the fact that he was a nerd like me. And that was one of the major reasons why we got together. I mean, we're nerds.
You still like check up on him or stuff like that, or you just
Unfortunately, no. I He did, the one thing he did say, or he was transparent about before we got together, is that he's petty. And he's like, he it doesn't matter how it's ended, he will, you know, it's just like that's it. And me, I'm not that type of person. If he was not that type of person, I would definitely still be talking to him. um so yes, unfortunately he's blocked me on all forms of social media. I mean, when we separated,
I,
he was not sober. and
yeah.
and the thing that sucks is that I felt like I had to make that decision for both of us because he was not sober and not in his right
I
mind.
understand.
um
Yeah, I understand.
yeah, but I am still in touch with his sister. Unfortunately, their mother passed away the week of Thanksgiving. um but yeah, his family's wonderful. I wish I could be close with them, but of course, you know, appease him and not upset him, you know, we don't have a close relationship or anything. I'm not against it because I don't hold any ill will towards him, you know. But yeah, it's just how it is.
I mean, he had his own demons that he had to fight. You know, one thing about us men, we're not. I noticed we're not very honest.
I mean,
But
I
you
don't
better,
know. I don't know. I think I fall victim to. I give people the benefit of the doubt. It's like,
yeah,
okay, I try to be
you do
transparent
lie.
with you about this, this, and this. So I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
expect the same from me.
yeah. I don't really know what to say. You know, wish him luck. You know, but we
Yeah.
got a guest. All the rage George Page. He says hello. Yeah, this is the guy I was telling you about. He loves the Joker and stuff. If he's watching, you know, this is Hunter Joker George. He
Okay.
loves
Oh,
he
wait a
loves
second. Yeah, I know him. He follows me on Instagram too. Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, he does a lot of bodybuilding and content, you know. You have some nice pictures, but you're like a black Electra or something like that.
No, that's once again. So this was before I actually started cosplaying.
Yeah.
I was doing burlesque at the time.
Oh,
So I have a Melina outfit from Mortal Kombat, and so she normally
oh,
uses the side.
okay, okay. You know, I never
Hmm.
played. I didn't really play Mortal Kombat too much like that. My thing
Me
was like
neither.
Street Fighter. Yeah, I would play Ryu and stuff like that. Oh, okay.
I do want